I still got to do my DNA test to see if I belong to a couple things, what Jewish line, because Booth is a Jewish name, and I believe so. The Jewish coat of arms, the Booth coat of arms, has a lion at the top, and that's the indication of Judah. So the Booth name attached to that. And John Wilkes Booth was suspected to be a Spanish Jew. So I just want to get tested and see whether my DNA agrees or not. And then those Merovingian king lines, well, that's the best I could trace it in my family tree, was back to the Dunham Massey Booth, but they say that line ended when I talked. See, they say it went extinct, but that don't mean that that line is extinct. That just means that they quit inheriting the peership, which was nobility and a title, and the baronetcy is the one that extinct. And well, the baronetcy is less than is above a knight, but below an actual baron. And it's one of the lower forms of nobility. And maybe they just stopped getting that when they came to America about that time. That it was like 1797, which is around 1800 or so. That's when the Booth family, a lot of them came. Some of them came back in the 1600s, but came over about then, and nobody wanted that title for nobility in America. So one or two generations skipped, and that's extinct. So I have to check into that to see if my DNA does agree with that Merovingian king bloodlines. I don't know. I just have things that, like them dragon Wiccans that have spirit world helper spirits. I am a shaman. I do shaman practices, and I have dragons that help me, and I have helper spirits, just different hours, different times. Those things kind of open up. A lot's got to do with state of mind, and well, I look for that to be a level or dimension of heaven. I mean, when you get to a state of mind where you've entered into, I believe that's one of the dimensions of heaven, that you go to heaven, as opposed to going to hell. You serve into it and things, and you don't get there by service, and you don't get saved by Jesus. That's the thing that I stand for, because you can't just believe everything you read, all right? But believe that there's more than enough controversy about Jesus Christ. Top scholars don't know too much about him. I've been reading this book by De Vere, like a French name, A Dragon's Legacy, a Dragon Legacy, or something like that. And he says that Jesus was a druid, and Jesus was uh, of the dragon kings, and the blood that came from Lucifer and Jesus crossed, and all that came through, and they were considered satanic kings, and Jesus was one of them, like Solomon was one of them, and I forget all the ones in the Jewish. I'm not sure Adam wasn't one of them, but they had him for all that, and it completely got alleviated. Elvin, like an elf, just a magically blessed soul. He was an elven bloodline. That's what this guy says. So who do you compare knowledge? But I can't believe everything I read, but there's too much stuff that's just covered up for a conventional paradigm. A paradigm, like people accept the way you say something in a certain context, you say it that way, people accept that because that's acceptable for people. Well, that's kind of what you got in religion, this paradigm that they can give to you on a platter. You had this awful legal system that you're now not under, that you're now under liberty in Christ. And, that, by the looks of what you're looking at, when you look at this Bible, which I'm not constituting that the Bible was correct like everybody else tends to do, and politically, that's a sound thing to do. You're a God-fearing person, but no, that doesn't mean I'm not God-fearing. That means I'm not putting up with garbage. So anyway, this guy's got him down for doing all this to this elven bloodline and everything, and the Vatican guilty of even as much as fraudulent forgery of the Constantine's privilege to create kings and kingdoms throughout Europe, taking it away from the Merovingian bloodline. There are no longer kings coming from that. Well, that's what I'm standing up against, is that kind of thing, and I need to get my blood checked. So that's the next thing I think I'll try to do. So I wanted to share with you that's the plan. Until then, Three Oaks, spelled Three Oaks, and then the numeral 1.com is the place to go. I have chat room Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Just get together, hang out. I'm talking about natural healing techniques. That's what I got a sailboat big enough to go in the ocean. I want to explore some more in my life, things like that, and healing techniques, natural healing techniques. And I do a lot of herbology, so I take pictures and look up what I find and stuff like that. I know that the basic science to find out what, where to start and everything other than just using the internet, are behind plants and what they're useful for. I do a lot of that, and I grow out here on the farm, and I have my little boat set up living on the lake on a yacht. So I'm just going to continue to share this 3oaks1.com, and I'm just going to expose everything that I can find and delegate to people what's going on. I mean, love God, fine, but to stand there and fraud me into a mess of organized religion for benefits politically and financially and stuff like that, and convenience for you and your family to be under this paradigm. If that's not the way it is, I don't need to go to your church to learn how it isn't. Why would I want to go to your church to learn how it isn't and take part in some politic that I say that I believe in all those words and everything I don't? And you're not going to sit here and brainwash me and use social pressure. That's non-physical level operationals, and that's witchery, and that's why I believe Thomas Jefferson, a Freemason brother, said that he's not going to let them do that to you. He's the best Christian you ever knew. But he was considered one of them Freemason devils. He said, it's priestcraft is what they're doing. It's like your sex drive being used. You can have a wife, and you know the nature of the female, that's being used. We'll use her nature, and she's going to appeal to these things, and if you can appeal to her, so by the time it's over, they got given acreage here in America, and then they set up things to everything from the tavern to the church to the sheriff's department. Under their 50,000 acres, they got given chartered or whatever, lords and barons. And so now you got to chase the girl that appeals to what nature. So if you'll chase after with this wallet and your style, whatever you can throw down, that just leaves a merry-go-round going on using non-physical things like social pressure. And then you just keep mashing on the gas pedal saying, oh, I believe in this 100% and rah-rah, but there's too much evidence. That's what I plan on exposing. See ya, 3x1.com.